He is a cyber futurist artist and entrepreneur. He's also a pioneer in emerging technologies such as blockchain, tokenization, AR, VR, and AR art. Ladies and gentlemen, he was also a founding member of Ethereum and the most cited author on Google Scholar for crypto economics. Ladies and gentlemen, he's also worked on various projects for MIT, Skulltech, and Notre Dame University. Please help me with a round of applause. Welcome to the stage our next speaker, Mr. Joel Dietz. All right, Joel, the stage is yours. I love your sense of fashion, man. The glasses rock.
Well, great pleasure to be here today. It's my second TOMORROW. I think there will be more to come, I'm sure of it. And I think we've all seen, maybe we've been shuddering here about the last presentation and all of the dark possibilities of the future. Very exciting, actually. But I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but also how we got there from, what was existing just recently. And in fact, I'm going to take us all the way from 20 years ago when some of this technology was getting started into the multiverse. So concept of VR, metaverse have existed for years. Just heard Snow Crash, Neil Stephenson looking into the future, virtual realities, getting plugged in. But the actual technology to do it basically didn't exist. So just about 20 years ago is when we had really the first VR technology. And this was something from Nintendo that came in, but people put it on. And the problem was it's actually just in black and red, and no one really wanted to use it. It was also the year when the Matrix came out. So probably everyone here has seen the Matrix, but at least put the idea. It's also the year basically when Counter-Strike came out. So, and people are maybe not using that VR tech anymore, but they're still talking about the Matrix and whatever recent movie they put out since then. And they're still playing Counter-Strike today. So it'll be kind of a theme as we kind of go forward. But yeah, the metaverse today is really still all of these things, basically, to many different people. And the one thing that this is basically showing you right now is actually the black hole at the center of our metaverse. Also is sort of a multiverse, the MetaMetaverse, because it's bringing together and some networking all these different metaverses. So I'll get into a little bit how that works. Oh no! This screen. So yeah, what's been happening though recently, if you're looking at the business side of it, I'm sure some of you are interested in the business, is gaming just keeps growing. So regardless of what happens with Meta, the company, or various VR headsets or different technologies, people are playing more and more games, and the big games that people are playing are getting bigger and bigger. So by the numbers up here, you can see that the number of video gamers in the billions has gone up from around 2 billion in 2015 to around 3 billion now. And it's cross age groups, Older people play, younger people play. Obviously, younger people play a little bit more. Now, if we look at, the whole Ethereum, NFT world and things like that, we've seen, interestingly enough, some real boom and bust cycles, but also an economy that's to be relatively robust. So here we see not really that much going on until we get into this little bump in May of 2021, then huge in September, a lot of activity, and then we've been kind of in a down cycle, but still somewhat constant, with a few of the big names that everyone has heard of. Art and collectibles, similar kind of time cycle. for when these different things with various type of collectibles that have been there. And as you can see also, there's been pockets, so this overall marketplace around NFTs has had some pretty significant growth periods from, July to July, kind of steady volume. A little bit down since then, but still, significant. NFTs are still moving. It hasn't exactly dropped off. But then every once in a while, there's some kind of new hype that comes in. So you see here, basically, the Bored Ape thing was basically nothing back in September of 2021. Now it's become a so-called blue chip NFT. I don't know who believes in exactly what is blue chip and justifying it. CryptoPunks has been reasonably steady. Every once in a while, there's a new thing that comes out. It's quite exciting. Similar here for some of these other marketplaces. Now, this is kind of an interesting one when it comes to Metaverse land specifically. You have seen some really big peaks kind of following similar models, but some of them are, and I don't know who knows, NFT Worlds was a very exciting one that caught a lot of attention, but it was based on Minecraft, and then Minecraft, or Microsoft, which owns Minecraft, basically said, you can't do this with our software. So it's still pretty interesting, but hasn't totally taken off. But these are kind of like the big ticket worlds, Decentraland, Sandbox. We're in an organization with several of these because called the Open Metaverse Alliance. So we do work on the kind of interconnectivity. And then when it looks to the ones that are kind of $1 billion plus, you have a couple of these things, but there's still a number of metaverse projects that have really stayed stable at over $1 billion, including the ones I mentioned, and kind of Yuga Labs. And similar kind of when it comes to the numbers here, huge peak in Axie Infinity this July 2021, and then drop off, but still not to nothing. So we've seen some initial experiments happen. Now back to the key technologies that are kind of empowering all these different changes. Well, I'm gonna kind of just run through them, but one, the most interesting is the AI. Everyone's talking about ChatGPT. There's a panel happening right after this on ChatGPT. That's like kind of one track of Metaverse, very interesting. The other one is this kind of the way that we look inside of our brain, the cybernetics, like psychedelics, all these different ways that we can examine. And then another one is, kind of the Web3 track and what is coming sort of along the line there. So they're kind of blending over to each other at various points. And this leads kind of into the future of like, where is this all going? And this is, in some ways, what I'm kind of most excited about, because if we project forward, where are we going to be in 20 years from now? Well, we may have, and Ray Kurzweil predicted this and other things, that we will have actual real telepathy. What does that mean? Well, it may not mean I'm beaming something from my brain into your brain, but what's happening now with VR and kind of implants is getting pretty close to that. We can track facial movements, track eye movements. We can, put little Neuralink chips inside of our brains and basically control things. That's already today's technology. That's not even projecting forward 5 or 10 years. So if we're starting to look at there, and at some level, once you talk about putting on even a VR headset and designing something in that space, it's actually a kind of tricky but cool thing. Like if I wanted to come out here and communicate to you, hey, I saw a pink giraffe, and I have an imagination in pink giraffe. Now, if you don't know, I can describe it. We might get something that's similar in your mind and my mind if we want to try and keep that going. But if I want to really get it to be clear, or if you've never seen a giraffe before, I'm going to have to start drawing it. I'm going to maybe go in and try and find some way of communicating to you what a pink giraffe looks like. I might start Googling it, find images, etc. So this is the kind of technology that's there, and the technologies that are existing today, like Midjourney and the rest of it, are really facilitating this. It's getting really good, frankly, what we can do to kind of bring in either the subconscious or whatever it is that people are processing and allow us to kind of communicate directly. So, and it's arguably even today in that sense a form of telepathy, because if I am creating some VR sculpture, whatever else it is, and it's in this headset, and then you put on that headset, you are going to see exactly the same thing as I just made, which really allows the communication of very complex, cool things, whether it's pink giraffes or floating clouds or molecular biology or various other types of science. So both the art and some other type of complex things, or for that matter, one of the things we're doing today is real estate design. You want to build a city, much easier to build and design a city with this type of technology, and it's moving ever closer in that direction. Now, there are a number of other things. Now, one is this future prediction. So when you can run simulations, basically, of different things, you can predict the future. Basically, what is going to happen next in the traffic patterns and whatever else is there. And you can also really dramatically accelerate learning procedures. So not necessarily with a headset on, but the various type of technologies that are there, they can be maximally responsive so that you, as the consumer and the participant, can be very engaged in whatever the learning process is. And moreover, if it's tracking my eye movements, tracking other ways of attention, I can actually tell. We can literally do this with if you have the right brain implants at the moment. This is technology that works. It's a little bit invasive, but it works. We can tell, are you learning this? Are you going to remember what is coming into your brain right now? Is that something that you're actually tracking with? So imagine every child in every school that is sitting there right now listening to something that they're not going to remember. That's a huge waste of energy, frankly. It basically makes education not really education because it's in one ear, out the other, etc. But if we can adjust the educational process to things that people want to learn and make it engaging and faster and people can move at their own pace, it's going to hyper-accelerate things. So my prediction is we're going to have solved this. And in fact, Elon Musk has a school and various other things that have already solved parts of this. And I think that will be rolled out to the rest of the population. Now back to like what we're doing, which is, I don't know, pretty cool, if I have to say. We have our own game engine that we built. It's built on top of Unreal Engine 5, and it's we're generally very happy with how way Unreal Engine 5 works, but it has a few core additions to that. So one of them is called these meta URLs. Basically, I take all of space and say, here, we're all here in Dubai. And guess what? Space divides very easily into cubes. So I basically put us inside of a cube, and then I put, this little arena that we're in inside of a cube, and then this room could be a cube, and basically I can address and describe where any space exists, and basically give access to that space. So that's one component. See, in the middle here, we have a big cube floating in space, but we can actually procedurally generate things, so to basically fill that space. So you have the ability to run simulations. And similar to what I was talking about predicting the future, basically what I can do is say, hey, and we have this right now, I'll show you some pictures and videos of it, but for Dubai and other cities, we can simulate the whole traffic pattern of this city. We can simulate, all of the back-end infrastructure of this city and see how it's going to evolve in different kind of conditions. And it could be useful for urban planning, also useful for other things like games and planning things out. So there's a lot of very fun applications of this as well. So speaking of that, here is the Burj Al Arab. Probably all of you have seen it, even today maybe. But this is inside. You can get a helicopter and fly around. So this is kind of one of the experiences we built. And then more kind of multiversal, you can get into kind of portals and explore from kind of portal space to portal space, what is existing in various possible futures. So similar to what we saw in the last presentation, actually, we could simulate what would happen in different metaverses in different circumstances. So if some aliens invaded and blew up this city, then, how would the rest of things evolve? So if you're following the forefront of gaming, similar to what's happening in the Nemesis engine, some other things in gaming, where people are really starting to basically build these dynamic story engines. Similar kind of concept of, space exploration, jumping through portals, exploring cities. And, because we're building at the gaming engine level, hopefully this, I think I'm going to need that video to be played from this slide. Let's see. Cool. So yeah, this is like the view from space, basically, as we're flying in and around. And as you can see, there's quite a lot of interesting art that's just sort of floating around there. I'm quite a large NFT collector myself, so if any of you have any multiversal art, feel free to come up and show me your NFTs. And then here is this 3D immersive crystal environment. Some of it is actually 3D scanned crystals from people who are actually selling them in real life, so they own the crystals. And it's been synced with various type of sound, binaural beats, and this sort of thing. This is another kind of cool metaverse experience, and in some ways they look like digital plants or virtual plants, but these are actually real plants. They are in Barcelona. They actually have interactivity, so you can literally go out and feed. They're building a DAO around these plants, so the plants can actually network and communicate. This is sort of like an MC Escher-like experience, but it illustrates this concept I was talking about, kind of cubes inside of cubes inside of cubes. So if you take away anything from everything I'm saying, basically, take this idea of kind of nested space, because it actually applies to many different things. But you can see here we fly around a castle or an island. We can go inside of an egg. Inside of the egg is this kind of crystalverse. And then once I zoom inside of that, kind of scroll all the way down, so to speak, so as I was saying before, so the sound sync. So you can see there's a whole city, basically, right here in the middle that's floating inside of this crystal cave. It's kind of like Rick and Morty, if you've seen Rick and Morty, or various other things like that. But you get like little miniature city. And guess what? You can get your own, too. This is open for everyone. We have tools, basically, to allow you to build out your whole city. You could build something like this today if you wanted to. And then basically use it for a game. You can add in some kind of gaming stuff, as we'll see. And I think we're really the first people to kind of either build out this sort of concept of mapping, basically, between the real world, so to speak, where we are right now, this physical thing, and these virtual worlds with this same kind of technology. And it literally allows you to map, basically, from a physical space that is a real world, let's say your city, if you prefer, wherever you are in the world, into the virtual equivalent. And then once you kind of see here, we have this kind of flight simulator mode that allows you to fly in between these different spaces. And generally just a lot to explore. I think there's something like 80 hours of content that have been created already kind of within these different worlds. I don't even know how many of them there are. There's always constantly people who are kind of there building their own worlds and their own content and building their own games inside of them, building their own experiences. One of the ones I'm personally most excited about is the dream stuff, because I don't know if anyone here has nested dreams, but some people have dreams inside of dreams, like kind of Inception style. And there's a few people from this community that have actually started building out experiences related to their nested dreams and literally the exact same content they see in their dreams, and kind of comparing someone's dream world with the other one. You also, some of these different places also have various battle modes and things like that. So if your first inclination, some people they want to build first. Other people, they want to battle first or first thing. And thankfully, you get like both of those buttons as soon as you log in, so you can do whichever one you want, whatever it is. There is, since a lot of people probably crypto here, there is a kind of embedded tokenomics in this thing. So basically every metaverse that's created basically starts, I say printing money, but you can effectively make your own coin for your own metaverse that people can then collect or buy and basically seed the economy. So we're very aware of the interest level in people for having their own virtual world economies and how they can develop and kind of be monetized. It's definitely one of the exciting elements in this. And overall, just in general, like I said, there's a lot to explore, and a lot of it kind of from a storyline thing, because I mean a little more about the technology than the storyline in this talk. We do have this sense too that is an exciting one, but I'll kind of bridge it back to the talk before, that we have this unusual and interesting opportunity at this particular historical moment, and Elon Musk likes talking about this as well, to kind of break out of the simulation, so to speak. If we are here inside of one metaverse kind of storyline, and basically, I don't know, you have the ability to act inside of it and do certain things, whatever else is sort of out there, whatever else might be accessible, whatever else could. And if we particularly understand the rules of our universe well, can we project and say what possible rules might exist for other universes? Could there be parallel universes? Could we actually simulate these potential parallel universes and see if they could exist and if there's some way to kind of interact with them? So that, is one of the reasons why I'm personally working on this and find it very exciting, is because we have really some of the best physicists and mathematicians that are very excited about that approach and taking it really as far as it can go, and building lots of really exciting experiences along the way, and learning some things and having fun and educating people. So all amazing things. And see you at the next TOMORROW, if not in the metaverse. So thanks, everyone.
All right, Joel, thank you very much. Quite interesting stuff there. Ladies and gentlemen, do we have any questions? We've got time for one, because Mr. Joel has decided to go way over time. But it was very interesting, so thank you. Do we have any questions for Joel? No? Okay, if anybody does want to contact you or wants to ask you anything, how could they?
I think we're going to do a fireside chat here in the back right after the ChatGPT thing, so stay tuned. In about 20-30 minutes, we'll be in the fireside chat.
Sounds good. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, round of applause, please, for Joel Dietz. Thank you very much. All right.